So I first want to acknowledge that we, the mana, those who have mana whenua, here we are. I want to acknowledge Ngāti Pāoa. So I am a lawyer, I am largely a criminal lawyer, and I work for Annette Sykes in Rotorua. And she supported me with doing this mahi. So in terms of my role, it really came about from research that I was doing last year with Equal Justice Project from Auckland University into investigating New Zealand complicity in Israel's atrocity crimes. That took us into looking at Rocket Lab. We knew that Rocket Lab had launched satellites for the US National Reconnaissance Office, and that they were launching satellites for geospatial intelligence companies. And I want to explain a little bit what geospatial intelligence is all about. So that's where we have satellites up in space, which are looking down on us, spying, producing satellite imagery, in fact all sorts of data and intelligence. So there are 3 companies which we know that Rocket Lab is currently putting up satellites for geospatial intelligence companies that they're doing this for those companies. Teanau's mentioned those 3 companies, so Black Sky of course, Capella Space and Hawkeye 360. These companies all produce geospatial intelligence, which is military intelligence, and they provide it to different countries around the world, which are their clients. So Black Sky, what they do, or what they're known for, is they provide high quality photographs, high quality imagery that they take once an hour over locations of interest to their clients. And the imagery is of such high quality that we believe, or at least Israel has said, that they're receiving intelligence which is high enough quality that they can actually see where they can see if people are located where the satellites are looking. Capella Space similarly produces visual imagery using radar. Hawkeye 360, they look at radio frequencies down on the ground. They produce data and analysis out of that. So one of the students at Equal Justice Project found out that all 3 of these companies, that they were all involved in a geospatial intelligence conference in Israel, which took place in January 2025.
Yeah.
Black Sky, along with the Israel Ministry of Defense, were leading sponsors of this conference called Ramon GeoInt 360, I think. And Capella Space and Hawkeye 360 were both supporters of the conference. We then found out there was a leak of information last year which showed that Black Sky has a $150 million contract with Israel, which is, in US dollars, fairly described as an enormous contract. Shame! To provide them with very large amounts of satellite imagery, obviously to assist them in conducting their genocidal campaign in Gaza, and no doubt for their aggression elsewhere too. What this led me to look at is to work out exactly how this might be helping Israel to commit atrocities in Gaza. Now, like I said, Black Sky satellites look down at locations of interest to their clients, we know now Israel, once an hour, and provide data. And we know that they can tell Israel if people are located at their locations of interest. Now, we also know that Israel selects their strike targets based on artificial intelligence systems, which input lots of different kinds of intelligence, including geospatial intelligence, to help them decide, to come up with a list of targets. And then once they have their target list, so that they're constantly producing these targets, then they're signed off by officers and they strike. So Israel says that they only strike targets deliberately. From what I've read, that seems to be true. However, they are picking many targets amongst the population of Gaza and then killing them and everyone around them. Shame! My real concern about what Black Sky satellites are able to do is that they're able to tell Israel where people are located at a particular time. Oh, like this? Yeah. So Black Sky satellites are able to tell Israel that if they're interested in a particular residential building block, they can tell Israel there are lots of people there. And especially in the context where you have lots of displacement within Gaza, people are moving around and trying to avoid bombs all the time. Black Sky satellites are very likely able to tell Israel that actually there are people there at that building of interest right now. So this is really important intelligence when it comes to helping Israel kill people. Shame! Shame!
Palestine! I
can't believe they're avoiding
now, Rocket Lab is Rocket Lab.
Can you take this? For now? Yeah. Until that goes.
Now that's working.
Okay, now are we going?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so Rocket Lab has launched satellites for Black Sky since 2019. If I'm not mistaken, they've actually launched more than any other company. I think it says that on their website. So I guess I really want to say a thank you to the people who've put in effort over many years into opposing Rocket Lab's activities, because in fact Rocket Lab has been putting up into space the infrastructure that is very likely now helping Israel kill people in Gaza.
Shame!
Shame! Where this becomes particularly relevant to my analysis and what I've passed on to the International Criminal Court, or the Prosecutor, sorry, of the International Criminal Court, is what's happened since the outbreak of Israel's war on Gaza. Now, in fact, a few months before that, Rocket Lab signed a contract with Black Sky to launch their next generation Earth observation satellites. Now, these next generation satellites have higher capabilities, according to Black Sky. They can see through clouds, and they can see at night. I don't know how they do this, but apparently that's what they're able to do. Judith Collins, as Minister for Space, approved Black Sky's application for their payloads to be allowed to go up from New Zealand. She approved that in December 2023. Now, I couldn't make out from her advice document, which was so heavily redacted, whether she was aware of that contract between Black Sky and Israel, although Tuiono has confirmed for me today that she was.
Shame!
Shame! Now, those launches took some time to proceed. Throughout all of last year, they didn't actually take place. In November last year, PSNA and we wrote to Rocket Lab and to Judith Collins. Test. We wrote to Judith Collins and the CEO of Rocket Lab, who is Sir Peter Beck, in November last year, urging them to not go ahead with these launches. So we said to Sir Peter Beck, we believe that you are very likely going to be committing international crimes and that you're going to be helping Israel to kill civilians in Gaza.
Is that working? No? Now? Ah, yeah. Oh, I think I actually have this working. I'm not that great with this stuff, to be honest. So I was saying, in November last year, PSNA and I wrote to Sir Peter Beck and Judith Collins, telling them not to allow these launches to proceed. So we said to Rocket Lab, we believe you're very likely going to be helping Israel to kill civilians in Gaza, helping Israel to commit international crimes. war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide if you proceed with these launches. We told Judith Collins that she should revoke Black Sky's payload permit, and that by allowing these launches, we believe that she would very likely be criminally responsible for the same crimes. Neither responded to us, although newsroom journalists did manage to put the allegations to them, and they just brushed aside the allegations. In February this year, the first out of 5 launches, went ahead of the next generation satellites of Black Sky, and in early June the second lot went up, and I understand there are 5, so there are 3 more to go. What this means, now that they've started launching these satellites in full knowledge of the circumstances along the lines of what I've just explained here today, is that we think that international crimes very likely have been committed by Rocket Lab and by Judith Collins. Shame! For that reason, this has gone into PSNA's referral to the Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, seeking that the Prosecutor investigate Rocket Lab, at least Sir Peter Beck, for the commission of these crimes, and investigate Judith Collins for her role as well. Because like I said, we believe it's highly likely that they have committed such crimes, that they have knowingly contributed to Israel's commission of atrocities, in particular war crimes, crimes against humanity, that is systematic murder and persecution of the people of Gaza, and genocide. We expect that in a few months' time we will probably have a response from the Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court saying that your evidence has been formally included in the evidence that we are holding regarding the situation in the state of Palestine. And from there, we don't know. We hope that in a few years' time that Sir Peter Beck and Judith Collins, alongside many other people, will be investigated, will be tried for what we believe are their very likely contributions to Israel's most serious of crimes. Thank you.
Kia ora.